Nick Reiner back in court this morning, formally pleading not guilty in the killing of his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner. Now, we have the tape from just moments ago in court. Watch.
CF08098.
Good morning, Your Honor. Kimberly Green, Deputy Public Defender, on behalf of Mr. Reiner. He's present in court in custody.
Thank you.
John, Justice, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Habib Alien for the people.
Thank you. Good morning to each of you. Good morning, Mr. Reiner. And how would you like to proceed at this time, counsel? The court has, and I'll just make a record, the court has, we addressed the request for media coverage off the record. Court just orders that there's no live streaming and no live transmission and no filming of anyone in the gallery.
We'd like to go forward with the arraignment at this time.
Thank you. And on behalf of Mr. Reiner, do you waive full reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
A plea of not guilty is entered on behalf of Mr. Reiner. Counsel's requesting
April 29th as 0:30.
April 29th, 2026 as a 0 of 30 calendar days.
Yes.
And may I take a waiver from your client at this
Yes,
time?
Your
Mr. Reiner, you are entitled to a speedy preliminary hearing. That's a preliminary hearing within 10 court days and 60 calendar days of your arraignment. Your arraignment is today. Do you understand, waive and give up those rights so that your matter may be continued to April 29th, 2026 as a 0 of 30 calendar days, with the understanding that your preliminary hearing may commence within 30 calendar days of April 29th?
Yes.
And does counsel join in that waiver?
I do.
The court finds that Mr. Reiner has made a knowing and intelligent waiver of his right to a speedy preliminary hearing within 10 court days and 60 calendar days, and that his counsel of record joins in that waiver. Defendant agrees that the next court date of April 29th, 2026 is a 0 of 30 calendar days. The matter is assigned to, for all purposes, by the supervising judge of the criminal master calendar. The matter is assigned to, for all purposes, to Judge Sam Oda in Department 108. Counsel reserve no bail?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or is bail set at no bail? Anything further in this case?
Yes, for the record, Your Honor, the people have turned over to the defense the large bulk of discovery. We are still awaiting word from the coroner's office that they've completed the autopsy report. As soon as we get it, we will turn it over to the defense, as well as any other discovery that comes in.
Thank you. Anything further?
Your Honor, I addressed with the court the issue of the outstanding SCTs. We're asking that those be withdrawn at this time.
And those subpoenas, as referenced by the defense, are withdrawn.
All right, so we just had footage there of the very short arraignment, Griff, and in that arraignment, so first of all, Nick Reiner pled not guilty to the murder charges against both of his parents, Rob and Michelle, and we also saw him waive his right to a speedy preliminary hearing that would have happened within 10 days. So they scheduled it for April 29th with Nick's approval for that. Frankly, a barely audible response. I got the confirmation just listening to his defense attorney, Kim Green, there, and you heard the prosecutors as well telling the judge that they had turned over the large bulk of discovery to the defense team, with a little bit more left, I presume, before in preparation for that preliminary hearing, which we can expect to occur on the 29th of April. So your thoughts just in watching this?
Well, first of all, just the optics of seeing him. He looks really disheveled. It's fascinating to see him there in the shock of hearing he's pleading not guilty, but I think you're the lawyer, I'm not. It was interesting to hear prosecutors say that they've turned over the bulk of defense and discovery to the defense, but yet they were waiting for the full autopsy results, which could bring some details the next time they're in court.
Indeed. So I wanted to bring that up with you here. So they're still awaiting the complete autopsy results. I mean, horrifyingly, as we talk about this, it's a horrific murder. And also that, so Nick will remain in custody, by the way, no bail. He will remain in custody. And when we get those autopsy results, we assume that we'll have access to them as the public. I don't think it will come to a surprise to anyone that they died of their vicious stab wounds.
So it's interesting. I think it was Conan O'Brien who had hosted the party where everybody was at that night with the family. And he's just recently talked for the first time in an interview, getting the perspective of people and the history that this young man had and his struggles with his family. Does that come into play, Emily, do you think? Because I'm watching this and I'm thinking, they've got to have a trove of DNA and other things. That crime scene that's been described to us and how awful and bloody it was, so on and so forth. So I'm watching this play out and I'm thinking, is it helpful for this not to be more expeditious? Like, what is this that we're seeing?
There's always a balancing sort of factors and role that the attorneys play, and we've talked about this, I think, in many trials, especially with, for example, Charlie Kirk, where his widow Erica Kirk has submitted a motion to say, no, it is my right as the victim to have a speedy trial, and you balance that against the defense's right to both a speedy trial but also to time in order to produce and create the most robust defense on their behalf. Same is true here. And yes, that all of these allegations and reports will come into play for intention and motive and potentially to mitigate the premeditated, arguments of this here to say, he wasn't in his right mind. I mean, I don't know.
That's my question too, actually, Emily, is the schizophrenia diagnosis. Yeah. How critical is that to the trial? And is this really going to come down to the medical experts? Whether it was the doctors that were treating him, there's been a lot of reports about a recent change in medication before the murders. Like, how important is all of that?
Critical indeed, but also for the jury to accept and determine whether that absolves the defendant of a responsibility. Does a diagnosis of schizophrenia mean that all of a sudden someone is off the hook for a murder? We do not want to set that precedent.
No,
so while it will be part of the deliberation,
right,
certainly it will not be instructive.
Your thoughts? This is all just so horrifying, and seeing him and what he's accused of is just absolutely horrific, and nobody ever wants to see a case like this. But he really looks like a shell of a human being at this point, and I would assume that's not only because of the loss of his parents, but because of what he's charged with. I think it's also just a reminder that you can be so well connected, you can have so much money and fame and access to everything, and it doesn't mean that you are mentally, physically, emotionally okay. And this whole thing is just so hard to watch.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.